Hello, this is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Aging Like a Guru, Who Me? A couple of weeks ago and last week I talked about my friend Carol, who's 97, and her name really isn't Carol. I just give her that name to keep her anonymous, confidential information if she cares about that. But Carol fell down and broke her hip, and she sat for hours and hours by herself before somebody realized that she was not answering her phone, not answering anything. So they found her sitting and just waiting for somebody to find her. And so Carol broke her hip. She had surgery. She's now in a nursing home waiting for whatever's next, and also in rehab. But she has very little strength, and so, who knows the outcome for Carol. But the interesting thing, I went to visit her with my friend Marge, and we sat with her, and she said, just sort of out of the blue, never, ever, 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 ever fall down. That's her advice. Never, ever, ever fall down. And it was kind of interesting because it's like, well, as you get older, you kind of lose your balance, and, you kind of trip over things, and so how do you inevitably not fall down? And I've talked about this last week in terms of, wow, how do we do that? Part of it is exercising, staying active, those kinds of things. But I was looking at what are some what's the advice that people give us, people who are octogenarians, people who are in their centenarians, people who are in their hundreds or 80s or 90s. What's the advice that they give to those of us who are younger and will hopefully inevitably age, but hopefully avoid some of the catastrophes that occur in the process of aging and perhaps dying? Not perhaps dying, we all die. So I was looking at what's the advice that we give or get from older people, and if you go online, you can Google advice from older people, advice from aging people, and you'll see a whole bunch of lists of things, and most of them are pretty normal. But I was thinking about it today and thinking about what's really like, what are the ones that I want to talk about in this inner aging like a guru? Like, how do we do that? And so a couple of things that came to mind were brought to me by other people. And the other one that I want to mention, one other one, and I've got a couple others, but one was from a woman named Emily. And Emily died when she was 98. And her advice was never take prescription drugs. Never take prescription medication. And so, first of all, it's like, if you believe you need to do that, then go ahead and do that. I am just talking about what Emily Reed said and what she, and then the research that I followed up on because of what she said. Like, is it irresponsible to say something like that? Never take prescription drugs. It's something, myself, I won't take prescription drugs at this point in my life. I have no intentions of ever taking prescription drugs. Unless they are absolutely, positively no side effects whatsoever, no toxicity whatsoever, and that's pretty unlikely because every single prescription drug, has toxicity and has side effects, and so my point here is you might want to look at that in terms of what are the side effects and what's that about? Why would this woman, who is highly educated and highly experienced in life, and why would she say something like that? So I went online and I Googled it. And there was one particular site that I visited. There were a number that had this information, but the one that I found was called worstpills.org, or Worst Pills, Best Pills. And the website is worstpills.org. And what they showed was the degree of deaths and illnesses and diseases that were caused by the side effects of medication, like Parkinson's or heart disease or liver disease or bladder or kidney diseases, cancers, things that showed up not because we're aging, though people say, oh, it's because they're aging, but a lot of these debilitating diseases like Parkinson's a lot of it is caused by side effects of medication. So that's a really good thing to think about. If you're looking for what's the advice from people who've lived long lives and happy lives, like look at the advice that they're giving and pay attention. And I think that this is a responsible thing for us as people, as adults, to say, what is it that we're given here, and how is that going to influence me in terms of my emotional well-being, in my ability to operate mentally, because a lot of side effects affect our brain, and we get Alzheimer's or dementia, and we go, oh, it's just old age, when maybe it's a side effect of some of the medications that we're taking. Quite often, a person is prescribed one medication, and because of the side effects, they're now just prescribed a second medication to offset the side effects, and then a third one is prescribed. So these are all things that create a crazy-making situation for the patient. The patient, that means you, if you're in that situation. You're all brilliant enough, I have no doubt about that, to look at what's going on for you and what's the choices that you're making for yourself in terms of your physical health, mental health, spiritual health. So that was a big one for me. So again, where Carol said, don't fall down, one of the things that happens is when people take medications, some of the side effects is they lose their balance. So it's like Emily's advice of don't take prescription drugs can potentially help you not fall down. I think for me, that's really, really important. A third thing that I want to mention, a third piece of advice is I've been aware of a number of people who, when they retire, they feel this gap of 40 years of life, of 40 years of putting in time, 40 years of focusing on going to work, career, whatever that is for them, and all of a sudden that's over. And there's a gap, and who they see themselves as, who they know themselves to be as a working, career-oriented person, they don't know who they are anymore. This happens a lot. And so depression can occur. A friend of mine, Randy, ended up watching TV for a year because he just didn't know what to do with himself. He didn't know how to be other than just that. So the advice is, some people say, don't ever retire. If you do retire and you're in a sense of who am I in this, you might want to talk to somebody, a life coach or a therapist or friends, all kinds of groups, and where you can talk about this process that's unfolding for you as you're finding out who you are outside the work world. And that's a really good thing, is be aware that when you retire, it isn't just so easy to go, woohoo, I'm retired, now it's going to be fun. But we don't actually know how to do that. Most people don't know how to really have fun and fully feel fulfilled in their life. So just consider that. And then what's the other thing? Figure out what makes life worth living. That's really, really important. And then the last one I'm going to offer today is have someone or something to love. Now, love, I'm saying, in my perspective, love is a really, 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 really important value. It makes life worth living, is to have someone to love and feel loved and be loved. But to love is, I think, really, really important. So have someone or something to love. That can be another person. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be a pet. Pets are really, really important to well-being for people. It might be a dog or a cat or a bird or horse or just the squirrels outside or the birds that are feeding outside. A lot of people get so much pleasure out of just watching nature. That's a big thing, is watching nature. It might be where you live. It might be a place that you like to visit or imagine. Those things are really, really important to our well-being, is to love and to know who you love and how you love. And that's a really important thing. So I'm going to leave you with that today. Lots of advice on the web, on the internet. And that's easy to find. But to really think about what's important for you. Be curious about who you are in there. Be curious in terms of who you're becoming physically. If your physicality is in decline, notice what that's about. See if there's some things that you can do if you want to make it better. A lot of people just surrender their responsibility and go see a doctor. The doctor gives them medications because that's what our Western medicine does. And now we're on medication because of something that maybe we could figure out ourselves or find support from other sources other than Western medicine. So just be more, I'm saying that, but I don't, I never want to give advice, and I end up giving advice, but I don't want to. I just want you, the advice is, for me, be curious about who you are and how to empower yourself, how to be more engaged and responsible in your and for your well-being. All right, big hugs. If you want to know more, theparadigmshifts.com is my website. You can find me there, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, big hugs. Bye for now.